going on, guys? WhiteFast1225 here. Today I want to talk to you guys about Shadow of Mordor. So I know some of you guys were expecting another MMO chat, and that will come, but I decided to make that a bi-weekly show just because I feel like if I dedicate myself to doing 2 podcasts, I won't be able to do videos in between like this. So I think you guys will agree with me that there's a huge lack of Lord of the Rings games. There have been some, but none of them have been, really excellent. So Shadow of Mordor is a Lord of the Rings game. It looks really cool. So in the game, you're going to play as Talion, and you're a ranger of Gondor, and you're tasked with guarding the Black Gates. So on the night that Sauron returns to Middle Earth, you and your family are all killed, but you are resurrected by the spirit, by a spirit of vengeance, and it's a wraith, which is this special kind of spirit, and it gives you wraith abilities, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about the gameplay. So the story is all about revenge and finding the people who killed you, or killed you and your family, and it will also be about sort of this mystery about who resurrected you and why, and all that cool stuff. It also sounds like maybe eventually we'll get to confront Sauron and fight him, and that sounds really awesome. I mean, that would be an awesome boss fight. So now that you guys got the gist of the story, let's move on to what's actually in the gameplay and what it's like. So the gameplay looks a lot like Batman Arkham City, which is not a bad thing. That's actually really good because those games are known for excellent gameplay, so that's really cool. So like I was saying before, you have the Wraith ability, and this ability, it's sort of the spirit that resurrected you gave the ability, and it gives you a bunch of different powers. Basically, it seems sort of like a way to just say this is how I can do all this magical stuff. One power that we've seen a lot is that you can enter the Wraith world, which is the same world we see in Lord of the Rings when Frodo puts the ring on, so everything glows really white, and you can identify enemies and things like that while you're in that zone. You can also do a lot of other powers with the Wraith ability. We can control enemies' minds, which is a huge one, and they said that's going to be in a lot of the gameplay. You can turn AI onto your side, but in the gameplay we saw he defeated Ratbag and then took over his mind and made him try to assassinate Orthog as leader, which was really cool. Other than that, you can do teleportability. You can do this ability where you hit the ground and make an explosion that throws all your enemies back. I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones that we saw in the gameplay. So now let's talk about how different choices you make affect different quests. So, for example, in the gameplay we saw Talion had to make a choice. So he took over Orthog's mind, and he had to decide whether to make Orthog try to took over Ratbag's mind, and he had to make Ratbag either try to assassinate Orthog. There wasn't a huge chance of that happening, but he would have at least damaged Orthog. He could have made Ratbag go back to the orcs and tell them all about how Talion took out all his men and put fear in them, or he could have Ratbag spy on all the orcs and Orthog, which is cool. I'm sure you get some sort of information from that. But by doing this, every every choice you make, like the ones I just talked about, will give you different quests. So either you have the quest to make sure the assassination goes right and watch the assassination, and if it doesn't go wrong, swoop in and kill Orthog yourself, and that's what ended up happening in the gameplay. Or you could have Ratbag go and spy and then report back to you. So every different thing, every choice you make like that will affect different quests. Now another choice that affects the quest is what time you start the quest. So we saw this, you can start the quest whenever you want. In the gameplay, you decide to start the quest while it was night and while it was raining, and because of that he got an extra. It was harder for the guards to see him, which is really cool, and I like that sort of feature. I hope they don't tell you too much about it. I'd like it more if it felt more natural and they didn't give you hints and stuff, but that's a really cool feature, and it's cool how choices you make can affect which kinds of quests you get, and also how quests play out, and that's really cool. So now I want to talk to you guys about the Nemesis system, and that's something they talked about a lot. So the Nemesis system is it's basically a system that makes every enemy in your game unique. So you guys might be wondering how they do that, and they do it by a bunch of ways. So number one, by the different actions you get, different enemies will get different names, different titles, and even different physical appearances. For example, previously before the gameplay that we saw, Talion had thrown Orthog into a fire and burnt half his face. So the next time we meet him, half his face is scarred, and he remembers that, and he still holds a grudge, which is really cool, and it's cool how you can actually change the dialogue of the enemies. Memory is also really important to the system, so enemies will hold grudges against you, enemies will remember if they barely escaped with their life last time you fought them. So some really cool stuff, and it's cool how the enemies actually remember what you did the last time you were with them. They also said things you do to your enemies will affect the orc society, so I'm not exactly sure how that works, and they haven't really said anything. But maybe if you kill enough of them, they'll be weakened, and that would be really cool. But that's really awesome. And like, also different things you do will affect like characters' professions. So like, because of choices we made prior to the gameplay that we saw, and you guys can watch that. It's in a link in the description below. But because of different choices we made before that, Ratbag was a slaver in this town, and because he's a slave in that town, that's where you had to find him. So it's cool how choices you make not only affect like what enemies think of you, but also like where they are, what they're doing, when you actually have to find them again. So that's really cool, and hopefully it really will make it so that enemies are really unique to your game, and maybe the next time you play through the game, enemies will be completely different. And that is a cool system. I'm not sure if it's going to be as cool as they're saying, and if it will be like as each enemy will be as unique as they're saying, but hopefully what they're saying is really true, and we'll get some really awesome different combinations of enemies. So that pretty much does it for the new information on Shadow of Mordor. I'm really excited for this game, just because, like I said before, there's a huge lack of Lord of the Rings games, and definitely there's a void there that hopefully this game fills. I like how it's going after the plot is not like a traditional, just like a huge like epic quest, which that wouldn't be bad, but I like how it's a unique take of like a story of revenge, which is really cool. So I'll definitely be uploading more videos on Shadow of Mordor, and I'll also be, at the same time I'm uploading this, uploading a video on Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's an open world game that looks really cool. So yeah guys, if you're interested in any of those things, make sure you subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, guys, and I got a lot more videos coming this weekend, so make sure you look out for those. So see you in the next one.